Hello everybody, this is Howard, the Teaserking, coming to you with week 2 of college football analysis, where I basically just, every week, you have to update. I mean, you went off of a magazine the first week, and you know, you got your gist of the teams. I mean, Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan State, but it's the other teams. And that's really where the money's at. And so each week you're adjusting. There's a new team. There's a good team. The team's not as good as you thought. The quarterback's good. He's not good. He's injured. So I just like to kind of walk through some teams with you and just impressions of week 2. I went 12-2 in my picks. And one thing I had a teaser. Now keep in mind, I do teasers. I've had a few people not understand I'm teaser king, and they want straight bets, and it's kind of like, and then they give up. They don't understand that you can make a lot of money with teasers, and if you want to play odds, you can play a 16 teaser, 10 team teaser. I've hit 10 team, 11 team teasers, and for a very small amount, you can win. I think I had 11 team teaser. I think for $10 I won 400. So I really don't kind of follow. I think the 6-point edge is well worth the juice or picking the second game, because I think there's so many games. I mean, I got a sheet of how many games are on here, right? This is my sheet. I can't pick 2 games and use the 6 points to help. So anyway, Penn State was playing, and I thought they don't have a big offense and a good defense, and Pitt, with Narduzzi, the Michigan State coach, as their coach, I thought that they would be pretty much, and Pitt did what I thought. They'd run the ball and play defense, but Penn State's defense was terrible, and then they found a quarterback a little bit. So that game went over. But the Ohio State game, I had it Penn State, Ohio State, but the Ohio State game hadn't started yet, and it was already over. I think it was under 50, and they broke the 50, so my bet was gone. So I didn't have to wait till the end. And then so I quickly rebet Ohio State. I think I took the under in the Florida game, and I was surprised. There's one of the surprises. Florida scored 45. Fortunately, it was under 56, so it was still a W. But I was surprised Florida scored that much. And then I saw this quarterback Del Rio, so maybe Florida will start scoring, and then they'll be very dangerous because they got a killer defense. So that's one of the things. Initially, Florida has no quarterback and a great defense. They're an under team. I locked the under with Florida, and then here they go scoring 45 on Kentucky, who I know isn't that strong, but Florida can't score 45 on anybody. They played Mass in week 1, UMass, and they didn't score 30 points, so I was a bit surprised there. But anyway, so my point is, if you really like a teaser, and I liked Ohio State over Tulsa, and you lose the first half of the teaser, and you really like the second half, then play that in another teaser, or play it with a pro teaser. I did that with a few teams. It's perfectly fine. That's the beauty of this. So you don't always have to, and sometimes it's, if it's an average play. I always like to see how the day's going. If I'm picking pretty hot, I'll play it. If I'm picking kind of cold, I'll just let it run and say, I don't want to do that. I should have done it week 1 where I locked Nebraska, and I didn't replay them when Tennessee couldn't score 20 points on App State. But I didn't. But that was one I thought about doing. So usually, depending on what type of game it is, you might want to play it in another teaser. With my locks, you might want to take my locks, and I had 6 locks going. I went 4-2. Boise, Washington State, I mean, they only scored 59. I was shocked. But having to Washington State's offense and Boise's offense, because Washington State doesn't have a good defense. And then I lost the Arizona Cardinals. How could they lose to New England without Brady, without Gronk, without half their team, and Arizona plays Arizona ball and loses? So those were my 2 losers in the locks, but I hit the Florida under. South Carolina under was easy, and the St. Louis Cardinal under, or St. Louis Ram under yesterday was good, and Michigan. And I was going to lock Washington, and it was like Michigan, Washington, Michigan, Washington. And I took Michigan, and then it was like, well, let's take Boise State. I think they'll score with Washington State. And I took Washington, but I didn't lock them, and of course they won by 100. So anyway, so that's what you have when you're trying to pick. I have so many games to pick that's what I do. That it's sometimes hard. You want to play them all, and you can see I played 16 the first week. I go 13-3. I play 14 the second week. I go 12-2. I go 8-1 in the pros. The only loser being Arizona. So anyway, so that's kind of my second week. Some of the surprises, like I said, Florida. Keep an eye if they found a quarterback with their defense, and McElwain, the very good offensive-minded coach. He did very well at Colorado State. They were very explosive, and that quarterback is the backup to Breeze on New Orleans. I can't think of his name right now, but they had a great wide receiver, and Bibbs was the running back. He's on the Broncos. I'm sorry, I think Higgins was the wide receiver. He was really good. He was All-American and their quarterback. So he knows how to coach, and he knows how to score. So look for Florida if they found this Del Rio. If he's really a good quarterback, look out there. Louisville looks like they're real. Looks like they score a lot. That'll be an interesting game with Florida State. The way Florida State played Old Miss, you wonder if this is going to be a really high-scoring game, or you get Louisville in the points as the home dog. Maybe that's the way to play it. I don't know. That I'm going to study. But anyway, this new quarterback at Louisville there, and that's the whole perfect example. You have no idea. Boom, comes this new quarterback. He looks great. They're scoring a lot. Now, granted, they haven't played a Florida State, but the fact he ran for 200 yards and threw for 400 yards tells me, now it's against Syracuse, so doesn't really have a big defense, but it tells me that he's a good passer as well as a good runner. Syracuse, like I said, I'm waiting to see them get a hold of the Baylor offense. They haven't yet, so that tells me be careful on the overs with Syracuse. This week they play South Florida. If Syracuse is running that Baylor offense the way it was run at Bowling Green last year and at Baylor, this would be an easy over game. But I don't know. Now, the kid threw for 400 yards, but they only got 28 points. So I'm still not sold on Syracuse, but I think they're getting the hang of it. And as the year goes on, they'll become a better over team. Right now, I don't know, 28 on Louisville. It's kind of low there. Boston College has no offense. Put up 26 on UMass. Keep betting Boston College under. Great defense, no offense. Arkansas TCU. Arkansas looks good. To beat TCU the way they did, I thought was very good. They'll be a live dog this year. They'll get the quarterback going. They always have a running back and a good defense. So Arkansas is pretty much there. TCU, I thought they had a better defense. Again, they don't show it. Their offense is all hill. I didn't really see a running back. I just saw the quarterback scramble and throw. So I'm kind of curious with TCU yet. I don't think they're as strong as when Boykin was the quarterback yet, but we'll see as the year goes on. Army, very surprising. Kills Rice, beats Temple. Look out for Army. This week they have, this week Army has, no, Navy has Tulane. Army's got somebody. Man, I can't find it off the top of my head, but there's no line on the game yet. I think somebody's injured. I think they play UTEP. I'll take a look. Army. Yeah, they do play UTEP. They're laying, I don't know. I think the spread's 7. UTEP's quarterback's questionable. But the way Army looks, winning against a tough Temple team, and then blowing out Rice, who supposedly had a good offense, but only put up 14 on Army. So I like Army right now. I think they're getting better, and you'll get good spreads on them. Surprisingly, they laid 9 and easily covered against Rice. So there you go. Ohio, Kansas. Again, Kansas looks like crap. Ohio, I picked that one. They have a very good offense. They're a very good team, Ohio. This is why I tell you to study the MAC, because here's a case where Kansas is a 2-point favorite. Ohio an 8 was an easy winner, 37-21. Ohio can score. Kansas really isn't any good. So initially I had Ohio favored by 3. When it went Kansas favored, I was really surprised. Shouldn't have been. But Ohio ends up, so they look pretty good. Kansas, of course, stinks. Michigan looks like the real deal. Just keep playing them. Missouri. Now I have another question. Missouri, another under team who all of a sudden found a quarterback and threw the ball all around against Eastern Michigan, who's terrible. They're the worst team in the MAC, and out of 125 teams, they're like in the 120s. So they're a really terrible team. And what that does is when Central Michigan plays them, when Western Michigan plays them, when Ohio plays them, you know you're going to have real good bets coming up, because if Missouri threw the ball on them, they don't have half the quarterback Central and Western Michigan do. Western Michigan's the cream of the MAC, and then Central and Northern Illinois and Ohio. They're all kind of right there, in Toledo. So keep your eye on those. But Missouri, did they find an offense and a quarterback? We'll see. That's a game you watch, read the stats, and see what happens. App State looks like the real deal, beating Old Dominion 31-7. Playing Tennessee, very, very tough. They'll be a force in conference. Remember that. In conference, play App State. Not out of conference against, even against Tennessee, they played well. But, again, you want to be careful when you have the Sun Belt and the MAC jumping up. You prefer them in conference. It's a much better play. Let's see. Indiana does not look like to be the over that I thought. They're not scoring the way they used to, and they beat Ball State 30-20. Last year they'd have beat them 60-20. They seem to have a much better defense. So Indy's turning more into an under team. I don't like their quarterback. He's average. And with that type of offense, you need the quarterback. So, again, Indy looks like more of a under team than an over team that they used to be, because they should have killed balls. The Ball State game should have been much higher than a 50-point game. Oklahoma did what I thought after the loss. And that's why you got to keep track after the loss. The teams get pissed off. USC won, Oklahoma won, UCLA won, Mississippi State won. I think all the teams that lost won. LSU played a high school team, it doesn't count. But those 4 teams that had lost all won, and I think there was even more. UCLA, Mississippi, Colorado State won, Auburn won, SC, and Oklahoma. Those are the big teams off of a loss, and they all won. So we'll look at this week's off of a loss. And again, it depends who they play. You can't just play them because they lost, but you do want to, if they play a team they can handle, you do want to bet them. Oak State Central shows they're for real. I know the last play, but if Oak State grounded the ball, to me, it was a great play by Central. They did that against Western Kentucky in a bowl game 2 years ago. I'm in Vegas, and I got Western Kentucky. I think I got them +1, and they're up like 50-10. And Central makes this huge comeback, and in the last play of the game, they do this 18 lateral touchdown for 70 yards or something with 2 seconds left, and then they go for 2 and they miss it. So Western Kentucky ends up winning by 1, and I was getting 1 or 2 in a teaser, so I had a easy win turn into a not so easy win. But Central can throw the ball. I was surprised that game, it went over because of the last play, and I did play them for an over. I thought Central would score more, and I thought Oak State would score more. I don't know what's going on with Oak State. Central's got a good defense. I don't think it's that good. I noticed Oak State didn't run the ball, and neither did Central. They're both kind of passing teams, so keep an eye on those two. I would say in the MAC, play Central as a dog all day. Oak State, I would, they're gonna get killed by the Baylors, the TCUs, Oklahoma. They just don't look like a very good team to lose that game. Wisconsin looks like they found a quarterback. Look out. They'll be very, very tough to beat. They've always been a good running and good defensive team, but they've never had the quarterback. They've always had these weak quarterbacks. They finally look like they got another Russell Wilson, and when he was there, they'd score 60 a game because they had the running, and then you had a quarterback who can throw, and the defense can't handle a balanced offense, so it was all they could do. So look for Wisconsin to definitely score a lot of points. And they're going to be tough to beat. East Carr and North Carolina State. East Carr looks like they're got a good quarterback. They scored on NC State, so look for them in conference to score a lot. They'll definitely be an over team against another team with a weak defense, and they can definitely score. Ohio State looks like the real deal, which I thought. They're pissed off. Clemson and Troy. Clemson, I looked at the stats in that game, didn't run the ball at all. I mean, they didn't run. It was all passing, and for some reason, and Troy was able to stay with them. So Clemson, I don't know, is all that good, but it's hard to get up for a Troy, so you got to be careful. But that's what I keep saying. Due to the playoff, you got to get up for every game. You can't fall asleep because you can lose, or even a close game, and they're out of the playoffs. So how good is Clemson to only score 30 on Troy, or is Troy like the best team in the Sun Belt by a mile? And I don't think they are. I think App State is. So I just say Clemson, you got the quarterback, but sometimes when you live on your laurels, you don't play that well. You don't play that inspired. You're not scared. They'll be scared against Florida State. We'll see what happens. South Florida, I love South Florida. I had that game over against Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois usually scores a lot, but South Florida is dynamite. This is not a sleeper team, but this is a team that they blow you out. They're unbelievable. The only problem they had was against Western Kentucky last year, when Western Kentucky could throw the ball all over the field. That might be their weak spot, but otherwise, South Florida, bet them. They are a dynamite team, well coached, good quarterback, good running back, strong defense. They are just power, and they blow you out. So keep an eye on South Florida. Nebraska, Wyoming. Nebraska looks very good, but they're a passing team. Let's not forget that. Tommy Armstrong, he passes, he runs. It's over. It's a lot of overs there. Their defense still stinks. USC beat Utah State. Utah State's not very good. USC obviously looks better than they did against Alabama. We'll see what happens. They got Stanford this week. Good luck. It's not a matchup that they've lost to Stanford the last few years, and it's not a really good matchup for them. Duke, Wake Forest. Wake's a good under team. Duke lost their quarterback to Achilles. Look for, I don't know if Duke passed the ball a lot. They got a lot of passing yards. They just didn't score. So keep in mind. But Wake's an under team. Duke, I'm not sure if they're an under or over team yet. Navy beats UConn. UConn surprised me. They threw the ball a lot better. Navy's Navy. They're tough, even with the backup quarterback. They still find a way. They held them at the goal line at the end. But look for UConn to be able to pass the ball. They have a good defense. So take UConn in the spots where they're like at home and a dog against not too strong of a team. Like you don't want to play them against Florida State, but in their conference, certainly you want to look at them. Texas could be for real. I don't know yet. Let's see them against Oklahoma. Then we'll tell. Auburn and Ark State. Ark State, I'm waiting for their quarterback. They run a very explosive offense, Arkansas State, but they haven't shown it yet. Their quarterback graduated. He was really good last year. They put up a lot of points. So the quarterback's having a hard time. So right now, lay away from them and don't go over with them. Auburn, we'll see if they found something or not. Against Ark State, they ran the ball down their throats, so we'll see what happens. It's funny, I looked at the stats. They passed for like 100 yards, and they had two runners that had like 150, 200 yards. So basically Auburn, if they can run on you, they'll beat you. But against the better teams in the SEC, they can't run on LSU. They can't run on Alabama. They've got to be able to throw the ball. You must have balance. And that's what this whole thing's about. This is what I'm looking at all the teams. Who has balance? Balance wins. Defense wins. A good coach wins. Quarterback, if you have balance, can be adequate. But if you have a really good quarterback, it's better. Georgia State looks terrible against Air Force. Air Force killed them. Air Force is a good team this year. Georgia State's a bad team, but in the Sun Belt, I think they're in the Sun Belt or they're in the Conference USA, but wherever they are, I think they're in the Georgia Southern Conference. So they're not too good, although they're supposed to be able to pass the ball. Air Force is Air Force. They look tough. Again, key tip, Air Force plays Navy, Air Force plays Army. Bet the under, because they're the only ones that know how to defend themselves, because they run the same offenses. Colorado State doesn't look too good. They're trying to get over the coach and everything else. So right now, Colorado State, let's rest on them. Don't play them. Kentucky, Florida, like I said, Florida. If they found a quarterback, look out. I played it. It was a lock under 50, under 56. They did 52. They made me nervous at the end. With 20 seconds left, why is the idiot coach handing off in the middle instead of taking a knee? I mean, you're up 45-7. Take a freaking knee. What are you doing? So, fortunately, he ran into the middle. He didn't score, but that's what scares me in college, when the coaches are so stupid. What does everybody do in the pros? They take that fourth week, and it's a bye. They don't want anybody to get hurt. Here you're up 45-7. You're handing off. Your linemen have to block another play. The running back can get hurt. Quarterback can get hurt. What are you doing, man? Anyway, Florida, let's see how Del Rio, the quarterback, is. Because if he's good, look out. They'll win it all. They'll win their side. Notre Dame, Nevada. Nevada doesn't look that strong. Notre Dame's got their passing going. Should be a very interesting game with MSU this week. Notre Dame 7.5-point favorites over Michigan State. I'm debating what to do there because I don't know how good Michigan State is. The quarterback did win at Ohio State in a rainstorm, so you can't discount Michigan State without the quarterback still winning. Question is, can they run the ball down Notre Dame's throat? And they're going to try. Nevada did not have that much success running. Michigan State normally has very good linemen, very good receivers, very good running backs. The quarterback, I'm sure, is okay. They have a very good defense. Their weakness has been the secondary the last few years. That's going to be the question here. Notre Dame's going to throw it all over. Can Michigan State's secondary play like when Darcus Dennard was there when they won the Rose Bowl? So this will be interesting. I don't know. I gotta put my thinking cap on a little bit more there. Washington's for real. Idaho stinks. So bet against Idaho. They do have a good quarterback in Linneman. So they'll be a good dog against weak teams in their Sun Belt Conference. But Washington looks for real. I look for them to win the Pac-12. Western Kentucky, Alabama. That's what I thought. Western Kentucky, take the 28.5. You got a W, and they get the late touchdown to do it. I don't know. Their quarterback got hurt in the game, but he's listed as probable for this game this week. Alabama just took the lead and ran it down their throat and is resting for the big game this week against Ole Miss. Middle Tennessee, very explosive team. Very surprised Vandy, who's a defensive team, put up 47 and beat them 47-24. I would have played the game over if I knew Vandy could score. So they do. But that's the mismatch you get when an SEC team plays that Conference USA, and you're sitting there going, oh, I like Middle Tennessee. No, I did. I like Middle Tennessee. They score a lot, but you can't play them against Vanderbilt. You got to play them in conference. You get them out of conference, and here Vandy, who probably won't score 47 points the rest of the year, scores 47 on them. So who knows the turnovers now. Anyway, Middle Tennessee, very good offensive team. Vanderbilt, normally a good defensive team, found 47. Let's see when they play in conference. Oregon looks okay against Virginia, put up 44. They got an interesting game with Nebraska this week. That one might hit 100, everybody, because Nebraska can't stop the air, and Oregon has Brady Hoke as the defensive coordinator, so they can't stop anybody. South Carolina, Mississippi State. South Carolina, very good under team, no quarterback. The stats were terrible for the quarterback. Mississippi State, they're starting to get together, 27-14, but they're still far away. Replacing Prescott's going to be hard. I think they might build as it goes. They got a good coach. I'm sure they got good recruits, but they're second tier right now. Miami of Florida against Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic's not a bad team, but again, they're outclassed. Miami looks good with Kaya, the new coach Rick from Georgia. So we'll see what happens with Miami. I think they're pretty much an offensive team. Good passing, good quarterback, good receivers there. I don't know how strong their defense is. We'll see. Tennessee, Virginia Tech. Tennessee looked really strong. Where was that against App State? Virginia Tech, I thought, would be able to pass the ball more. Now, they've got the Memphis offense there because they got the Memphis coach. So let's see. I would think their offense will get better as the season goes, so keep an eye on them. Don't be surprised they start putting up 40, 50 points. I don't know if they have the quarterback to do it yet, but that's what you're looking for. Tennessee's, even their quarterback, he's a running quarterback. He didn't throw for a lot of yards in the game, but he ran for a lot. So you have one of those multiple quarterbacks. He could give Alabama some problems. When they play Alabama, if you can get more than 2 touchdowns, I would take Tennessee in the game. Less than that, I'd go Alabama. But Tennessee can, they're getting the talent. They should be able to make it a competitive game. Also, Arkansas, I think, will give Alabama a competitive game. Baylor, SMU, I don't know what to do with Baylor right now. They with the coach gone and the rape and all that. Forget all that. Let's look at the football team. And the new coach, I don't know. They're still running the Baylor offense, but 40 points on SMU is, they should be putting up 60, 70. So I got to see what this new coach is. So this is why sometimes you just watch the games, you don't bet them, because you want to learn and you want to see. SMU, decent team. They'll be good in conference. Iowa blows out Iowa State, no surprise. Iowa State's not that good. Iowa, I don't know if they're that good. They got a good quarterback and they got a good defense, so that's part of the formula. They'll be a live dog, except for maybe against Ohio State. They'll be a live dog against Michigan at home, not in Ann Arbor. So let's keep an eye on Iowa. North Carolina, Illinois. North Carolina, explosive offense. There they go, 48 on Illinois. Illinois's got Westlaw, good quarterback. It's about what I thought. Illinois, see, when you look at this score, what does it tell you? Illinois's got a weak defense. They can throw the ball, so they're pretty much an over team. North Carolina has no defense. Illinois got 23 on them. But Illinois is very explosive. They're a very good over team. That's what you want to look for. Georgia Southern, South Alabama. Georgia Southern's a very good team. Their coach went to Tulane, so the assistants or whoever the coach is keeping it pretty much. They're like a Navy. They run the ball 100 times a game. Very strong defense. They're a very good team, Georgia Southern, especially in conference. BYU in Utah. It's turning out where both these teams are having strong defenses. I thought BYU would be more of an over team, but at this point they're not. They're both. In Utah's quarterback's okay. BYU's quarterback's very good. But they're both under teams against like competition. So when Utah plays USC, it's an under game. When they play UCLA, BYU the same. They got UCLA coming up, BYU does. And I look for that to be an under game because it looks like BYU has an excellent defense, and UCLA, I'm waiting for them to wake up with Josh Rosen and everything. Washington State, Boise, surprise of the day. Boise's a very good team. Washington State, where's their offense? Only scored 28. They should have done that in the first half. let's keep an eye on Washington State. They should be a live dog. They were very good last year, and they got the good coach in Leach, so I expect them to be better. So Boise must have a hell of a defense to hold them to 28. So we'll see. Maybe these teams are a little more, have more solid defenses than we thought. I do know Boise's got a very good offense and ripping the quarterback, but I think their defense is very good also. Look for them to make a run all the way. Against San Diego State will be their hard game. San Diego State's the class of that league, and don't forget that. And you'll get good odds on San Diego State because they're not Michigan, they're not Notre Dame, they're not Alabama, so their line's truer. Vegas and UCLA. Vegas is actually a pretty explosive team. Put up 21 on UCLA, who played after a loss, so look for them in conference to score a lot. UCLA 42. Not bad, but I look for more out of them. Let's give them time to get their runners going and their defense. Right now, I'm not too sure on their defense. Should be a close game with BYU this week. Texas Tech, Arizona State. This was I didn't know what to do with this game. My first thought was to lock the over. But then I was looking, Arizona State doesn't have a quarterback. And their stats really didn't dictate 68 points. It was really wild. Texas Tech, Mahomes, great quarterback. They're the over of over teams. Over against Baylor, over against TCU, over against Texas, over against Oklahoma, over against Oak State. All those, you'll be laying 80 points in every game, and they'll hit. This was 120, and this will be nothing. Arizona State, the kid's okay, but I'm not sold on Arizona State. They played a team with a defense. And they don't have a quarterback, so be careful with Arizona State. They're not as explosive at this point. Now, the kid who ran, maybe it's Barry Sanders. I don't know. But keep an eye on it. And the last game, Cal and San Diego State. San Diego State, very good team. Great running back in Pumphrey. He'll be a pro. Keep your eye on them, that they're solid all the way around, beating Cal. Now, Cal's an over team. Cal comes in with this coach, with Sonny Dykes, at Louisiana Tech. They threw up 50 points a game. He's doing it here. Putting up 40 on San Diego State's a really good thing. So keep an eye on that. San Diego State, I didn't know would score that much on Cal, but Hawaii scored like 20 on Cal. So Cal's defense is terrible, and they have a good offense. So they'll be an over team the whole year. They've replaced the quarterback. That's what I'm saying. Goff is not that good. And then San Diego State, the cream there. So those are my surprises. Real quick, good teams off of a loss. TCU. Excuse me while I read. Oklahoma State, they're okay. I wouldn't think they're going to win next week unless they got a weak opponent. They got a weak opponent, look for them to win. Look for TCU to really blow out if they got a weak team. There's not a whole lot of big matchups, so there wasn't a whole lot of really good teams that lost. Looks like all the really good teams won. So it's just really TCU. BYU, well, but they play UCLA. That'll be a wash. Washington State will play tough, but they're not the cream. And Texas Tech, well, they'll score 1,000. And Cal. So, but basically it's TCU. So there's just not a lot. But those are my observations. I'm sorry I go over a lot of the games and very quickly, but basically that's what you're looking for. You're trying to form the teams. You're trying to form over-unders. You're trying to form how good is this team. And the first week when they play high school teams, you can't do anything. All you can do is go, they played a high school team, they scored 60 points. What does it mean? Now you got more meaningful games. Cal didn't play Hawaii. Cal played San Diego State, and they scored 40 on them. It says they're an over team. They're going to score a lot of points. The San Diego State's a really good team. So you keep an eye on that. You like betting the losers. The teams off a loss will play very hard, especially good teams. A top 25 team will play very good. A team like Georgia, who barely beat, Southfield High School, you're just gonna look at them going, they're not very good, because you can't afford to lose that game. You should win that game by 30 or 40 points. There's no excuse now, because you can't come out flat in this playoff system and lose. And I know, yeah, if they beat Florida, but why go? Then they beat them. But if they lost to the high school team, they'll never get in. So you just can't do that. But you learn a lot, like Mississippi State. How's their quarterback? Florida. So you see these teams, Florida, Missouri. Do they have a quarterback? What's going on? Missouri has a new coach. Florida's got a more offensive-minded coach who came in last year, not this year. So you keep in mind the coach is the key. Look at Michigan, Brady Hoke, Rich Rodriguez. They stunk. And here comes Harbaugh, and now all of a sudden they're a top 5 team again. Everybody says I watched that game, and basically everybody, they can't run the ball. Well, first of all, Central Florida put 10 in the box, basically. I mean, everybody, and they had speed on the team. So Michigan had a hard time running, but they passed all over the place. So give it to Harbaugh's credit. He said, if they're going to put 9, 10 in the box, I'm throwing. And he threw, and he threw, and he threw, and he threw. So he's very smart, and that's what a balanced offense would do. So the fact they couldn't run into a 10-man line, a 9-man line, doesn't mean they can't run. And the fact that they could throw the ball and they're balanced means they're a very good team. So when they play Alabama and they're going to have a hard time running, they can throw all over on them. So it's okay. And UCF blitzed them quite a bit. Michigan's defense played solid, although they did have trouble on like the wider plays. A kid got like an 80-yard touchdown run on him. I was shocked. But they'll fix that up. But Michigan's got a top 5 defense. And keep that in mind. The quarterback looks fine, so that's not an issue. And they'll be able to run the ball. They'll probably run it pretty good on Colorado this week. I don't think Colorado has too many defensive players that are any good. So we'll take a look. But basically, you're learning. And as the season goes on, you got to take emotion out of it. It's like Ocean's 11. You leave emotion at the gate, at the door. You look at these teams, and that's all you do, and it's just a name. Michigan, Stanford, USC. You can't get married to them. You can't get emotional. Oh, I'm going to bet North Carolina. I'm going to bet Florida State. Forget it. You've got to just look at the game and go. Alabama plays Mississippi this week. I've taken Ole Miss in that game the last 2 years. You can check. I have a video on it from last year, and I called the upset. I don't think it'll be an upset this year. My gut says Alabama's going to pound them. The way Florida State pounded them and the way Alabama throws the ball more, I'd be surprised if Ole Miss beat them this time. I'm hoping that spread drops to 8. I can get -2. I'll tease it down. And that's the beauty of the teaser. So anyway, you got some nice games coming up. Ohio State, Oklahoma. So there'll be some very good games this week. And then you can bet the losers back. So the loser of the Ohio State-Oklahoma game, you bet the next week. Same thing with Florida State-Louisville. Anytime a really good team plays another really good team and there's a loser, that really good team, if they play an average team, they just kill them because they don't like to lose, and they get mad. When they're mad and they're good, they're playing a team they can handle, they blow them out because they take it out on them. All right, everybody, it's Howard, the Teaser King. So far, 25-5 this year in college, 9-1 in the pros, or 8-1 in the pros. These over/unders in the pros are beautiful. I hit every game. I hit every over/under out of all 13 games. I think I missed one. I didn't play it, but I missed it. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was the Dallas Giant game. I think I would have played it over. But with Prescott, I probably wouldn't. That's why I didn't play it. I had the Giants instead. So anyway, come to the site. You can buy the week is $150. You can buy the locks. You can buy the whole thing, whatever you're comfortable at. So I've been hot, and the way I look at it now with the over/unders, it's just gonna get better and better because. That's why I'm usually better later in the year because now I've figured out the teams. Like, I'll get surprised by Indiana and I played them over and I lost. That doesn't happen again. Now I'm caught on to Indiana, and I'll look for a team like Florida who might be going over, or a team like Army. I might start playing them because now I realize they're a better team than normally. Or certain teams, maybe Missouri found a quarterback. So you start looking at that and seeing, you want 2 or 3 weeks of consistency. Florida State could be, they were a great under team. Now they found a quarterback. Now they're in over. This Louisville-Florida State game before the season, I would have bet anything under on it. Now both quarterbacks come out, and they light it up. Now it's an over game. So it just goes to show you what you know before the season. That's why you pay attention and read the box scores, and you're looking for the quarterback who's 28 of 32 for 400 yards. He's the man right there. And the same 8 of 20 for 100 yards. You don't have a quarterback, and that's the team I'm betting against. That's why I look at the box scores. All right, everybody. Any questions or comments? I've gotten a lot of emails, a lot of good comments here. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been really hot, and I know we hammered them the last few weeks, and this week looks the same. I'm very focused right now. All right, everybody, www.teaserking.com. Please check in for week 3. I'll have my week 3 pick on here probably in a day or two. And have a great day, everybody, and good luck to you this weekend. Thank you very much.